An adult man is writing to my underage daughter in a secret chat. Today I found her sad. I'm feeling a mix of shock and distress and am at a loss for what steps to take next. My childhood best friend and I have maintained a close friendship throughout our lives. We've supported each other through various milestones, such as entering and exiting relationships, getting married, and starting our families. Our families have grown incredibly close over the years. My friend's family started a bit before mine, which means her children are older, including her 21-year-old son who's currently in college. I've always been like an aunt to him, having known him his whole life. Lately, I noticed my daughter seemed off, but I couldn't pinpoint why. Today, I found her in her room, visibly upset. When I asked what was wrong, she begged me to leave and refused to share what was bothering her. Something felt very wrong, prompting me to ask to see her phone. She became very defensive and yelled at me. Eventually, she revealed that she's been communicating with the 21-year-old son of my best friend for about a year. This revelation left me stunned. My daughter is only in 8th grade. She shared more about their interactions, explaining how he would confide in her and encourage her to do the same, leading them to develop a close bond. He professed his love for her, likening their relationship to that of siblings, yet insisted they keep it hidden from both me and his own mother, as well as our families. Their communication included nightly video calls after everyone else was asleep, during which he would sometimes discuss why they couldn't be in a romantic relationship at the moment. My daughter often didn't know how to respond to these talks. He also exposed her to topics that are not suitable for her age, like his drinking escapades in college. He would share his personal troubles with her, many of which are inappropriate for a 14-year-old to be concerned with. While I believe in educating my daughter about various life aspects, I prefer it to be done in a responsible manner that's appropriate for her age. One time, he called her while drunk and started saying very inappropriate things about her and himself. We usually let our kids hang out together at family events, thinking he's just looking out for the younger ones. But at a recent event, he pulled my daughter aside and kissed her. It was her first kiss. He said he has feelings for her, but they can't act on them right now. I'm furious. My daughter is confused. She thinks she might have feelings for him, but is also scared because she knows something isn't right. She told me she likes him but doesn't want him to visit us anymore. I feel terrible, like I failed as a parent for not noticing what was happening. There's more she's told me, but this gives you an idea of what's been going on. I'm at a loss. Part of me wants to confront him immediately, but I know that's not the best step. I haven't told my husband yet, but when I do, he's going to be just as upset. I'm not sure where this leaves my friendship, but right now my main concern is my daughter's well-being. She also mentioned that their messages automatically delete because he convinced her to use a specific app to avoid getting caught. This makes me worry there's more she hasn't shared. My head is all over the place and I'm struggling to process everything. I need advice on how to handle this situation and support my daughter through it. Update. I found that in the app Instagram you can privately message people. I found this disturbing exchange between them. I believe the context is that my daughter blocked him on the texting app they used, and the boy became extremely angry and messaged her on Instagram. Update 2. Earlier after my daughter told me about this situation, I told her to block all communication with him, which she said she would. I had checked in with her later to make sure everything was deleted, and it thankfully was, and I told her that she was very strong and that I was proud of her. She knew me and her father were planning on talking to his parents, but all of a sudden in the past hour, she kept trying to convince us not to and kept insisting that it wasn't as bad as she made it out to be. She kept saying it was her fault and seemed to get increasingly anxious. Me and my husband sat her down to try and work through the feelings and ask her where it was coming from, when she broke down into tears and told us that the boy knows that she told us and had messaged her. What I didn't know is that right before she blocked him, she messaged him out of fear saying she was sorry, but she had told me about their relationship and what had happened. She told him that she wasn't allowed to talk to him anymore or something like that. She blocked him without giving him the chance to respond. He apparently knows what her Tumblr account is and decides to create an account just to message her there. She has been begging us to just drop everything and leave him alone. Obviously, we are not going to do that, but I'm at a loss on how to convince my daughter that things will end up okay. We've all agreed to go to bed since it's been a long night. I've kept my daughter's phone in my room so he won't contact her in the middle of the night. Tomorrow, we will deal with the situation once we are thinking more clearly and are able to take the best course of action. Thanks so much to everyone for the overwhelming support. It's really nice to have a place to vent to people, and the advice really helped. Before updating, I will respond to some interesting comments. Commenter: praise her for coming to you. Don't blame her, she's 14 and she's a kid. Not sure if you have a legal case against the guy, but at the very least intervene and cut off all contact between them. Again, remember she's 14. Don't be hard on her. Not her fault. My answer? Of course. I told her that I was so proud of her for telling me this, but stressed that at her age she shouldn't be having relationships like this with 21-year-old men, and that I'd much rather her be talking to boys her age. I told her that I don't want her talking to him anymore, and she said okay, but I don't know if this sorry excuse of a man will try to contact her again, or even if she will reach out to him. I know at 14 she can't understand the severity, so I don't know what got through her head. I replied to now deleted comment. I talked to my husband after he came home from work, and he is just as angry as I am. But he did bring up the point that the police will be unable to do anything if we don't have any real evidence. All we have is our daughter's word, and we wish that was enough. Like the other commenter suggested, we're going to keep fishing for anything that will give us an edge. My husband proposed the idea even though he agrees it's risky. But would it work to maybe trick the boy into saying something that puts him in hot water? Meaning, we basically use my daughter's phone to bait him. I'm not sure about that, though. What we are going to do is go over to his mom's house at some point, maybe tonight, and have a chat. I occasionally go to their place since we are in the same neighborhood and childhood best friends, LOL. And as shitty as it is, we're going to go over under the guise that we're just gonna stop by and drop the bomb on her then. We don't want to take the chance of anyone having time to cover their asses, and truthfully, I have no idea how my best friend is going to react in this situation. I know her son will be home since he is an intern this summer and probably will not be out late at night on a Wednesday. I appreciate the advice. It definitely helped. Update. After carefully considering the advice we received, trusting our instincts, and reviewing the information we had, we decided it was necessary to involve the police in this situation. We believed that the young man knew exactly what he was doing and needed to be held responsible for his actions. Involving law enforcement led to the discovery of additional disturbing text messages between my daughter and him. These messages provided enough evidence to charge him with indecency with a child and potentially assault. We are committed to pursuing this matter further to ensure our daughter gets the justice she deserves. However, this process also uncovered more about our daughter's mental health that we were previously unaware of. When I wrote my last post, I knew she was struggling with some friendship issues at school, in addition to dealing with this situation with the 21-year-old. What I didn't realize was the extent of her emotional distress. I feel terrible for not noticing sooner or doing more when I saw signs of her moodiness or her spending more time alone in her room. The police revealed numerous messages from her expressing thoughts of suicide and possibly depression, with phrases like, "I'm a mess. I don't think anyone would care if I disappeared," appearing frequently. They strongly recommended that we seek counseling for her and provided some resources to help us get started. This is just one example of the concerning information the police shared with us. To give you some context, my daughter has a school friend named Alex. She's known him since kindergarten, and he used to come to her birthday parties when they were younger. They're pretty good friends, and she talks about him occasionally, like when they have a group project together. From what I've seen, Alex seems like a really nice kid. The police showed me some of their Instagram messages, and it looks like he could be a supportive friend for her. Even when my daughter behaves in challenging ways, Alex remains calm and doesn't react negatively. However, this doesn't justify speaking to someone poorly. I'm really worried about my daughter's mental health and behavior. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, whether it's BPD, depression, anxiety, or something else. I don't want to make her think her actions are acceptable, but I also understand she must be going through a lot to act this way at her age. My goal is not to make her feel like a terrible person because she's not. However, I want to address this issue without condoning her behavior. She's hesitant about therapy, but my husband and I believe she should at least have an initial consultation. She's generally open with us, but there are things she keeps to herself that I feel only a professional can address. We've arranged for her to see both a therapist and a psychiatrist. I know I'm just thinking out loud here, but although I've always respected my daughter's privacy, I'm considering monitoring her communications more closely. I don't want her to think I don't trust her or that I'm spying on her, which makes it tricky. If there was a way to check who she's messaging without reading the actual messages, that might work. I just want to ensure she's not talking to anyone harmful. While we're relieved that legal action might be taken against the 21-year-old man, we recognize that our daughter still has a long way to go in her healing process. I've had some people ask about how the parents of the 21-year-old reacted to what happened. His mom, who's been my best friend since we were kids, sent me a message not long after the police visited their home. She wrote, "You could have given me a heads up before you went ahead and destroyed my family. LOL." I chose not to respond to her message because it seemed immature and, frankly, I had more important things to worry about. Later, she called me and I mistakenly answered. She started to angrily tell me that I had betrayed her trust and wrecked her family, claiming they were suffering greatly. She argued that she could have handled the situation herself if I had just talked to her first, instead of involving the police and making things worse. She mentioned how her son's life was now ruined and threw in a remark about how I would burn in hell for my actions. I thanked her for the years of friendship and everything she's done for me, but I made it clear that I wasn't interested in arguing about whether or not my actions were justified outside of a legal setting. After that, I decided it was best to end our friendship. Before updating, I will respond to some interesting comments. Commenter: her son engaged in criminal activity on a child, but you destroyed her family. It sucks to lose a friend, and to be blamed, but know that you did the right thing. If he had robbed a bank, you wouldn't have called and given her a heads up that the police are about to be informed. My answer? Exactly. The reason me and my husband agreed not to give her a heads up was because we knew she would freak out and try to talk us out of it. I know if it was any other guy grooming my daughter, she would have 100% supported me calling the police. I'm trying to limit the amount of contact with her and remain objective and pretty much behave gray rock with her because of how conflicted our interests in this situation are. And I don't want the emotions between us due to our friendship to overcomplicate what we know we must do. It's really, really hard. Final update. It's been more than a year since all of this happened, and I thought it was time to share one last update with the community that supported me and my family through a really tough period. I'm truly grateful for all the advice, love, and support you all showed us. After the events of last summer, we ended up moving to a new state just before the school year began. Luckily, my husband was able to transfer his job there, and after a while, I also found work. My daughter started at a new high school, and looking back, it was absolutely the right move for us. She just turned 16 and is in her sophomore year, participating in track and cross country. She's also made a great group of friends and has a new boyfriend who is thankfully her own age. He's come over for dinner a few times, and he's really a great kid who treats my daughter well. Seeing her happy again means everything to me. She's still working through some things, so she's going to therapy regularly, which has been very beneficial for her. After everything that's happened, my family has found its way back to happiness. We've grown stronger and closer through the challenges. Regarding the man responsible for the ordeal my daughter went through, we were disappointed by the leniency of his punishment. Despite our best efforts, he received only a minor consequence and a hefty fine. However, we've accepted the outcome, knowing we did everything within our power and are relieved he's no longer a part of our lives. A restraining order ensures he won't cause further trouble, and he's now listed on the sex offender registry. My relationship with my former best friend, the mother of this man, was severed for over a year. Recently, she reached out, hoping to meet while she was in my new state for work. Initially hesitant, I agreed after she expressed a desire for closure and to apologize for her actions. Over coffee, she sincerely apologized for her behavior during the ordeal, explaining her fear of her family falling apart led her to act selfishly. She hoped we could reconnect in some way. I appreciated her apology but explained that rebuilding our friendship wasn't possible for me. It was a difficult conversation. We had been through so much together over the years, supporting each other through tough times. Despite the sadness and second-guessing, I felt it was the right decision. I wished to sever all ties with her family and move forward without any connections to them. How do you like this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.